Real quick, I want to do a fair use.
Look, it says in the book of Revelation that we shouldn't take this thing. I'm not going to do it.
Look, we need this. We have no food or anything. We have to get this. If not, I will.
Please.
Wow, this was so easy. I don't know what my husband was worrying about.
Hey, Rebel. It's time to make that choice.
Yeah, so this is Joel chapter 2, verse 27. And it says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel. So this is basically, you're speaking about it from a second person or third person. So you would say he is, right? And basically, and that he is, right? Or that's what Yahawah, right? In all caps, what it means, he is, or he exists, right? Right, he is, or he exists, your power, right? And none else. And my people shall never be ashamed, right? So you got, and it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions, right? So, Kahaloyim, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To your sisters, your Akhwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawah with the lesson. And as you can see, that was a AI small little clip, and I mean it goes further. You got to watch that brother's lesson that was that I took it from. I left it, where you can see it, so you can always go to that channel and check it out. But yeah, I noticed that the Jake was basically having a dream. He was having a dream about the Endtime prophecies, and more Pacific, the MOTB, right? The Grapho, right? The hour of temptation, which is fastly approaching for everyone, right? We're all going to be tested. But as you can see, he was having a dream, and that dream was showing you what the truth, right? The Lord was pouring out that spirit to show you the things to come, right? Yeah, this is Matthew chapter 13, verse 16. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Verily, which means truly, I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear the things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Right? because you're dealing with the true understanding of what's going on in these days, right? The world is the new world is fastly approaching, coming in, while this old world is falling apart, and people are holding on to it, trying to hold on to. Yeah, so this is Luke chapter 16 verse 8. And the Lord commanded the unjust steward, right? Because the unjust steward is Esau, right? Steward goes into well, it used to say landlord, but a blue letter changed it. Matter of fact, let's look it up. Yeah, so this is Luke chapter 16 verse 8, right? So I'm going to steward. It used to say landlord, but I believe they changed it or something a little bit or something. But going to the word, what it
Strong's
means.
G 3623. Akoinamas. Akoinamas.
Yeah, so orkanamas, right, which reminds me of the word orkamene, which means the entire habited world, right? Because you have three meanings to the word world, right? So people get that confused, especially when it comes into the Greek. And what is it? Well, I just gave you one, orkamene, eon, and then cosmos, which when you go into that word world in John 3:16, it's cosmos. It's not orkamene, right? Right, and that's basically what the Lord said. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? Which means what? Stewards, right? And that's what it means. The manager of a household, or of household affairs. ESP, a steward, manager, superintendent. Oh, see, I think that's the way of saying, like, a landlord, superintendent. So I mean, I guess you could go with that. See, that's what it is. Basically, you're just a landlord. You don't own the place, but you're to look. You're supposed to take care of it. It says whether freeborn, or, as was usually the case, a freed man or a slave, to whom the head of the house or proprietor, right, which means the true owner of the house, has entrusted the management of his affairs, right? And the true manager of the house, or the owner of the house, would be Yahawashi, right? Or Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi, right? But Yahawah has given it to his son, but for some time he has given it to Esau, right? For the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? So right, his affairs, the cares of receipts, right? Right? And there's a lot of receipts, right? When you deal with shits from 70 AD unto current right now, really before that, really, right? There's plenty of receipts of Esau Edom, this but definitely, yeah, definitely, you know yeah, because you can go back further, because you got Alexander, you know you got the evils that were increased when his four generals took over after he died. You got, you know, the what do they call it? The Greek and Jewish wars, what they call Jewish wars, but really they were Israelites, and that there was no such thing as Jewish, right? And basically unto this day, because his evil, his wickedness, and his hatred it's perpetual towards the nation of Israel. And but you know, it says, and expenditures and the duty of dealing out the proper portion to every servant and to even to the children not yet of age, right? So, and Esau's been unjust in that, right? You know, and yeah. So this is going back here, Luke 16:8, and the Lord, right, Kairos, right, which be Yahawashi, commended the unjust steward, right, because he had done wisely, for the children of this world are wiser than the children of light, right? The children of light are the Israelites, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, right? Because well, the earth, like I said before, the earth is given to the hands of the wicked, and they all know what time it is. They that's why the MAGA, the supporters, the other, the average everyday Joe Smo Edomite ain't saying much, because they know and they can sense the change. And a lot of them, hey, the Lord, when he pour out his spirit, it's just not on Jake, it's even on these other nations. It's on these Edomites too, and they're having these dreams too. They're having this sense of urgency, right? But the only one that don't know, right, is you Israelites, right? Well, I ain't gonna say all Israelites, because the elect is is do at work, warning, doing the things, serving the Lord, right? Yeah. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, right? Because this is the job of the steward, right? Of the manager, the superintendent, to make sure that everybody, whether they're freeborn, whether they're slaves or coming out of slavery, no matter what serving they are, or even the children before they're of age, right? Which those children would be the Israelites, right? Because going into, there's a time period that we wasn't going to know that we were the Israelites. They were still supposed to deal with us justly, right? But we know they didn't, right? Thus being him being the unjust steward, right? And being he's unrighteous in his dealings, and injuries and riches got by deceit. And that's basically how they have gotten rich and gotten fat off the lands, and off this land particular, America, Babylon the Great, whether pillaging the land for the oil, the gold, the minerals, right? Not to mention they killed, slaughtered, murdered the indigenous inhabitants of this land and claimed it for themselves, and then took another people and then enslaved them, right? And not knowing that those people that they conquered took the land, right? And the people that they enslaved are Israelites, which I'm pretty sure those elites, they knew, right? But a lot of you didn't know, right? A lot of people didn't know. But it's a price to pay for that, right? And there's a sense, right? Because of that spirit is poured out upon all flesh, right? Even the average everyday Edomite, you could sense it in the air. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. So now we're coming to a time where the kingdom is going to be translated from the Edomites, from the wicked ruling, into the righteous ruling, starting with Yahawashi and King David. It says, why is earth and ashes proud, right? They're just mere men, but they're proud. They can't let their pride just let it go. They like, hey, no, we ain't gonna rule. We ain't gonna rule no more. We can't let that happen. We can't just let these, these N-words rule over us. We can't just, we can't let that go. What do you mean? We're gonna go into slavery? And they even having dreams about it, so they're even more agitated and scared and nervous and nerve-wracking than ever. There's so much tension in the air. You can feel it when you walk around, right? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. And see, and that's what Esau has always did. He coveted fields, right? That's what it tells you in the scripture, right? Coveted fields, took people land, right? Right? Whether if it's, well, right now they talking about Venezuela. They're talking about was it Nigeria? They were there in messing with Levi over there in Haiti, and it's really to take away their minerals, right? They're coveting fields, right? But meanwhile, they're dealing with the people unjustly, basically putting everybody in debt, right? And even to the point that they're about to starve everyone to fulfill their agenda, that you have to take the karak's grapho, right, in order to eat, to buy or sell, and save he that had the mark, the karagma, the crocs, the grapho, which is the mark of the fourth beast, which is the fourth industrial digital technocracy, right? It says for such and one setteth his own soul to sell, right? Yeah, and that's what Esau's doing. He's selling out his own people, right? His own people, just to fulfill his agenda. And hey, they're pretty much with it, because they know, like, this is like, okay, you have to do this in order to, so we don't lose everything, so to speak. So they're wiser than the children of light. They know what's at stake, and it's their kingdom is about to be translated, right? And they fear that. They fear that we're going to do what they did to us. But it says double, so we're not going to do what you did to us. The Lord said double unto her for her works. So we're going to do far greater than that, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels, right? Going into your duty. You're supposed to make sure that everybody got a fair portion. You're not supposed to cut it off where the billionaires get a tax cut and the poorest people get the highest rate of tax out of everybody, right? That doesn't make sense. But the physician, right, which is Yahawashi, cutteth off the long disease, which is Esau, man. You do nothing but hurt the people. And what happens is people look for a some type of relief, and then they blame it on, they use it as a way to accuse you. That's why the Lord said that the accuser of our brethren accuse him before the Father and the Son night and day. Why? Because what happens is, yeah, Jake does do things, but out of frustration and looking for some type of rest, what are you doing? You're robbing, stealing, you're killing, you're doing things to your own people, right? To try to find some type of relief. Out of frustration, people fight. Like, you should see, people know things are going to happen in the summer when it's hot and it's heated, especially in these places where the apartment buildings and things are stacked on top of each other. You got a slumlord and the AC ain't working, the elevator ain't working. People are agitated. You say one thing, they snap, kill each other, and then people have these things. I knew. Look at those people. They ain't no good. It don't surprise me that they killed. Well, what about Chicago? What about Chicago? Right? And there's these things, these these points that they pick like a scab. They just want to keep picking that thing. But what about the whole point that you're the lung disease? You're the reason why these people are in these conditions, because it was your position to make sure that everybody had a fair shake and fair portion of everything. And you're supposed to keep a receipt of it, which, don't worry about it. The Lord has a receipt of it, right? That's why you have to get cut off. That's why you're afraid, right? The physician, which is Yahawashi, cut off the lung disease, and he that is today, right? You're ruling right now, Esau. It's your world. The earth is given to the hands of the wicked. A king tomorrow shall die. Yeah, you ain't gonna be here, right? Yeah. So this is Luke chapter 1 verse Luke chapter 16 verse 1. So like, yeah. And he said also unto his disciples, right, which is Yahawashi speaking to the disciples and give them like a parable. There was a certain rich man, right, which is the Most High Yahawah, right, there was only begotten son, which had a steward, right, which would be Esau, Edom, and the same was accused unto him, right, unto Yahawah, that he had wasted his goods. See, the world is in a waste, right? People can't afford groceries. There's pollution. There's plastics in the ocean. There's plastic in the goddamn outer space, right? There's space trash. There's a hole in the ozone layer. What they tell you, right? There's endless wars and famines and pestilence, and this is his job, not to have such things like that, or keep a balance, so that way it's because even Yahawashi said the poor you would have what you always, but there's a way that you can make sure the poor can eat, and there's a way that you can do things without being unjust, completely unjust, where you're wasting all the Lord's goods, right? Where you're going around the world digging up oil and causing the earth to quake, or maybe using your machines, your heart machines, to make certain disasters happen to fit your agenda, right? And he called him, right? Basically saying that the Lord, and how did the Lord call you? The Lord said that he speaks to you in dreams, right? Right. So this is Job chapter 33 verse 15. It says, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon a man, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth who? The Most High Yahawah, right? He sends the angels or whatever, but Yahawah, BaHaSham Yahawashi, get the glory, he get the credit. He's the one who gave the the decree, so to speak, right? Then openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instructions. See, the Lord tells you what to do and how things are going to go, and seal things within your dreams, right? And you can also just have visions. You could see things. The Lord said, pour out his spirit upon this place. See? And you think that the Lord ain't doing it to Esau? Of course he is. That he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from him. See, but the whole thing about Esau is the Lord's not hiding his pride from him. He's letting his pride extol unto the skies, right? That way the Lord has a reason to judge him, right? But the Lord told him, spoke to him in the dreams, showing him. Yeah, so basically that's showing you how the Lord, it says the Lord called him, right? So how the Lord call him, right? Through dreams, and not to mention just through that, through prophets, right? Through the prophets, right? The true men of the Lord, starting with Elder Apostle Tahar on down, right? To the lowest guy on the totem pole, you know, whether within GMS or in the GMS affiliates, right? It says, and he calleth him and said to him, how is it that I hear this of thee? Give an account of thy stewardship. See, and we just read about when you look up the word stewardship, one of the things was what? Receipt. So you have to give an account. You're going to have to give an account of your stewardship. You're going to have the receipts that you gave everybody their portion, right? But when you're sitting up there with a cabinet full of billionaires, with you saying, you know what time it is, right? Yeah, they saying, hey, we're going to go for the gusto. They figure, hey, the kingdom is going to be taken from us, so we're going to do what we could do to fight to keep it, right? Which of course Esau is wicked, so you know what he does? He does what you shouldn't do, right? What the Lord said you would get kicked out for, he turns it up. He does it more, right? It's crazy. But you have to give an account for your stewardship. Give an account of thy stewardship, for thou mayest be no longer steward. So you're going to be no longer in rulership, man, right? You'll no longer be in rulership. It says then, and see, and that's where this Edomites are at right now. Then, right here. Then the steward said in himself, what shall I do? Right? They're afraid. Man, what can we do? They're having all these councils, G summit meetings, G7 meetings, G6 meetings, BRICS meetings, this, that. What can we do? What do we do? We need the stuff from Taiwan. We need the minerals from China. We need some oil from Venezuela. We need to say that there's a fight here. We need a fight there. We need confusion so we can have order out of chaos. We need these things, right? This is what they're doing, man, right? Bringing in the charagma, right? And it says, it says, what shall I do for the Lord, right? Which Yahawashi, basically Yahawashi is coming to judge, but it's Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi, but Yahawashi is the one coming to judge and take the reins, take it from him. He's going to rule. Yahawashi is going to rule over the earth. It says, right, under King David, right? He's going to give King David that stewardship right along too, you know. It says, for my Lord taketh away from me the stewardship, and I cannot. And see, this is what Esau's afraid of. He's going to go into slavery. I cannot dig. Like, man, what are you talking, man? He been rich for too long. He been the Rothschilds for too long. He forgot about them being the Bowers, and they digging ditches and holes and the cliffs of the rocks and doing all sorts of things. They ain't used to no heavy labor, man. I can't dig. And to beg, man, I'll be ashamed. I'm ashamed. You know what I'm saying? Beg, like, come on. I'm a Rothschild. I'm a Bilderberg. I'm a DuPont. I'm a Getty. I'm an Oppenheimer. Beg, right? They can't see it. So their whole thing is to what? Yeah, so this is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. The rich ruleth over the poor. See? And that's where Esau's at, man. He got all this money. And because he's rich, he's ruling over the poor, right? You know, they're the ones who set up the tax system, and and people, and then they do it sneakily, so people can say, well, what do these people have to do with it? That has nothing to do with so-called America. That's way over there in the Middle East, right? But then, as you can see, the loyalty that they have to have, like, come on, think about it. What person goes and fight someone else's war if you ain't you don't have to bow down to them? You know what I mean? But something about America, they're gonna be drawn out by the least of the flock. Right? right? Because they got some over their head or something, right? But at the end of the day, with the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower, right, or the beggar, right? Because that's really what you are. A borrower is a beggar. That's why he said to beg. I can't do it, even though they got plenty of money. They get and they're the biggest recipient of welfare or the tax money of Americans, right? Meanwhile, we can't get Medicaid or Medicare, and they're fully stocked with full of doctors and lawyers and plenty of and then they still get plenty of money from the American people, right? Allegedly, right? So, says a right is servant to what? To the lender, right? Which are called what? Which they're trying to bring in the central bank, the CB, central bank DC, digital currency, right? Which we know the central banks are Rothschild central banks, right? Because every country, it was like all countries except for 3 countries a while back ago, and I'm pretty sure at this point there's pretty much a Rothschild central bank in every country in the world now, so they control the world. But of course they're gonna tell you, how could they do it? That's just little bitty old the place over there in the Middle East that they call Middle East, when I mean, which really is Asia, right? It'd be southwestern Asia, right? But that's the thing they want to tell you. And he that soweth iniquity, right? The unjust steward shall reap vanity, right? That's what's going to happen. And the rod of his anger shall fail, right? Which he's going to come out against everyone, right? He's going to come down with great wrath, knowing that he had but a short time. But hey, it's all going to fail, right? Yeah. So this is Proverbs chapter 22, verse 26 says, "Be not thou one of them that strike hands." See, and see what's going to happen is what through the frustration and everything of people are going to be lashing out, right? And that's not a good thing, right? You're putting forth your hands to do iniquity, right? And then that's to be like Esau, carnal, and people are gonna basically take things in their own hands, right? Rioting, race wars, all these different things. You're gonna be like Esau, right? Matter of fact, I think it says let's go ahead. It says make no friendship with an evil man, right? Which is Esau. I mean, yeah, with the angry man, which that's Esau. Esau's an angry man. And with a furious man, thou shalt not go, right? You're not supposed to go unto the ways of the system, man, right? So to speak. Lest I learn his ways and get a snare unto thy soul, because that's the thing that he done. You go back into the past, and Esau's history, they done that. Go back into some of those stories that they had about them going against Great Britain and them doing certain things. They rioted and they took things, right? When they came to these so-called black towns, so-called well-to-do black towns, when they came and so-called under the name of the guise of of law and order. They stole and they took things that didn't belong to them, right along with everything else they did, right? You know, I mean, like I said, let's not to forget that they took the country already, right? But was it like Central Park used to be a you know a development that so-called black people were developing. You got New Mexico, well, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, that all belong to Mexico. Let's not forget those things. But then they'll look at you and say, "You do a looting, we'll do a shooting," right? Like Yosemite Sam type speeches and shit. But but you can't be like them. Learn says, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. See, and that's going to end up, because the Lord said, if you put forth your hand to do iniquity, basically that's when they can lay hands upon you. It says, be not thou one of them that strike hands, right? Which they're going to do that. Race wars, like I said, race wars, famines, death, pestilence is going to put people into a frenzy, right? They're going to be striking hands. Or them that are a surety for debt. See, and this debt-based society is putting people in debt, and it's putting people in a position where, well, not to mention they just basically about to cut off the food. The supply and chain is going to be cut off. So now you're going to have to beg to eat. And if thou has nothing to pay, right? See, and you're gonna be able to go to work. You're gonna be able to do nothing. Once the rioting and all the things happen and you ain't gonna be able to do anything. And if thou has nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee, right? And that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna take away your bed from under you, right? And this is the time that what is it gonna bring? Disparity, right? Yeah, so this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 41 and 1. It says, O death, how bitter is the remembrance of thee to a man that liveth at rest, right? And a lot of you people, I mean, you're not rich, but you're not doing bad. You're not living in goddamn Ukraine right now. There's a lot of places that you're definitely not going through right as of this moment. I mean, it's going to be worse than Ukraine real soon, but right now you're doing good, right? In his possession, right? At rest in his possessions unto the man that haveth nothing to vex him, right? You know what I'm saying? Hey, you got nothing. You just vexed everywhere, every which way. Death is coming. Death is bitter. And that's what's happening to this place, man. It's dying emotionally, morally, but eventually the people, right? It's going to be mad. It's going to be, anarchy out here, right? And that hath prosperity in all things, yea, unto him that is yet able to receive meat. So, hey, man, death can come to you at any particular time, right? And that's the thing that you're where you're at now, where the things is good, but you can see things is about to get bad. See, even a person that's starving, you're about to finally receive some meat, some food, and you die of starvation. That's the type of things that's gonna happen. Death is gonna come at a high level and a high rate here in America. O death, acceptable is thy sentence, right? Because it's judgment. But at the same time, man, unto the needy, right? And that's the thing that's going to happen. You're just going to accept, I'm going to die. I guess I'm just going to accept it, right? I'm dead. I'm just going to die. That's where people is coming to a place of disparity, right? And unto him whose strength faileth, right? Because people, you may got young guys and, with all these things and the way they're breaking this thing down, where you're going to be fighting this and that, you're going to be hungry and starve it all out. So where you can't get any food, where you're going to have to beg for the charagma. The Lord said, it's not hope that you be not a beggar, right? But the whole point is you're to be a borrower, to be a slave to the lender. A borrower, it makes you a beggar, right? And they are already putting you in a position where pretty much every citizen is in debt. So at some point in time, you're gonna have to beg to get some meat, to receive meat, and you may die before receiving your meat. You mess around and get the charagma and drop dead anyway, trying to receive your meat. Right? It's hey man, this is, and then you're gonna come to where you're just gonna just accept that you're gonna die, right? Right? It says that is now in the last age, right? You got older people, and is vexed, right? It's vexing. I mean, the things you thought, if I just be a good citizen, I pay my taxes on time, and I do this and do this, I should be able to, achieve a certain way of living, right? And that has always been so until now. Now the end is coming. The dreams is being made manifest. The time of the end, the transferring of the kingdom is basically at hand, and they know it. So now they got to crash the dollar, push forth this was a government shutdown, Snap shut down, everything shut down, and and is vexed with all things, and to him that despaireth and have lost patience. See, and that's what where everything is going to, and people are going to, when there's nothing to lose, people lose it, right? Yeah. So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 16 verse 70. It says for there shall be in every place, right, and in the next cities, right, LA, Phoenix, Vegas, right, these are like close cities, major cities that's close to each other, right? It's not too far. Dago, can't forget Dago. Oh, I mean, definitely what you call them, like New York, like Jersey's not that far from New York. So you I mean, to see New York wilding and Jersey wilding, you just look across the water, you could just see people fighting on this side, people fighting on that side, right? It's gonna be crazy, bro, crazy. That's gonna be a sight. That would be a sight to see, man. Right? Next, buildings is set on, and smoke going up from one city, and the smoke going up on the other city, and the people are just, hey, and that's the time you're about to be faced with. But they need that order out of chaos. For there shall be in every place and in every city a great insurrection. And this is what keeps popping up. Insurrection Act, Insurrection Act, Insurrection Act. A great insurrection upon those that fear Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, or QaDash, because that's ultimately what it is. This is why you have the mockers. This is why you have the Drewskis. And I seen one with vocab that had another little Edomite that's going around and basically trying to mock. And you even got a what's the name of that show? It's a show on Netflix where the guy mentions that the all these different things are government psyops, even the black Hebrew Israelites as a government psyops. Dang, I wish I could remember the name of the show, but it's like a little show with the little Jake. He's supposed to be a rapper and stuff on it. It's on Netflix, and I thought that was kind of crazy. Like, out of all things, that's the thing you want to say that's a government. Wow, but hey, you Jakes will believe anything. It's simple, believe it every word. For says they shall be like madmen, because that's what's time we're coming in. Order out of Kale. They already got the troops there. So, I mean, come on, bro. You can only see it. But hey, they should be like madmen, sparing none, but shall spoil and destroy, right? And spoil means to take away. So if you can't pay, they're going to take your bed from underneath you, right? Which is going to make people very mad, and they're going to strike hands. They're going to do some shooting out and all these different things, right? Right? And destroying those that fear Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi. And that's ultimately what it's, because, we're here to be sheep amongst wolves. We're not wolves, but things are going to happen, man. For they shall waste and take away what? Their goods, and cast them out of their houses. See, that's exactly what the Lord said. If you can't pay, why should they take you out of your bed? But it's to cause a disparity. It's to all the way to, you're so hopeless. You death is like a reward. Like, I just need to die. You know what I'm saying? And that's the time that you're about to be living in, man. Or you're gonna say, hey, Mr. Edomite man, please give me the charagma, because I can't take this no more. Please, I need help. I need salvation. You're my salvation, Mr. Edomite man. And some people are gonna do it, man. There are lots of Jakes are gonna do it, especially after what's gonna happen, and the calamity, the death, the famine, the pestilence, on such a level that it's never been seen before ever in history. It's enough to put fear in you, where when they say you call uncle, you just, hey, yeah, I'm done, I'm good, and that's what a lot of people are going to do, because it says even men should be afraid. Hey, man, and see, and that's the thing. Hopefully, Lord willing, that's us. We're not mere men. Lord willing, I could be part of that number. Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi Rawchaa, Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi Rawchaa. It says, then shall they be known. See, that's what you want to be at. That's where you want to be at. Then shall it be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. And that's where we're headed to. We're headed for, so this is Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, right? Yeah, we suffered. You may went hungry a couple of days, but we trust and believe in the Lord. Hey, and he provided. And I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? What hour is that? That's the time that, like none other, time where no one going to be able to buy or sell, except he that had the mark, right? You're going to be tempted on every side, on everything, right? Which shall come upon all the world. So everybody's going to get tried come upon all the world, right? I don't know if you know, Bishop Nate, come upon all the world, you Christians, right? That think you can get a rapture, whatever it's called. Yeah, that's what it's called, rapture, right? Come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So if you're alive, you're going to dwell, you're dwelling upon the earth. So you're going to get tried. Not unless it's going to be mass unaliving is going to be happening a lot anyway. But that's what you would have to do. That would be your what you call them. I mean, even what you call them, they had enough sense to drink the Kool-Aid. You think you're just going to go up into the Shemayams and the chariots that come pick you up? You don't even know about the chariots. How are you gonna have a dang, I just said the word too. Rapture, right? Pre-rapture. You don't know nothing about the chariots. I mean, like I said, at least the other dude, they had him. They had enough sense to drink the Kool-Aid. If you were gonna go up, you were gonna have to drink the Kool-Aid. But hey, it says, "Behold," which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. I come quickly. Behold, or hold, right, which means hold on, hold fast, right, which means not to let go. Trust in, right, unwavering trust. Basically, hold fast, some unwavering trust, which thus hast that no man take thy crown, right? Trust in all the things that we learn and wait on the Lord, right? Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name, right? Dealing with the mark being the charagma, the crocs, the grapho, right? So with all that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, a shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to your sisters, your Akhwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, right? And the Bible Ball, Kwame Yasharala.